Let me describe your Monday. You decide this is the week. You're motivated, maybe you saw a photo you didn't like, maybe the suit was tight again, and maybe you had just woke up and had enough. So you commit. You buy the groceries, you meal prep, you block the time, and you're locked in. By Wednesday, you're at a client dinner, and there isn't a single thing on the menu that fits the plan. By Thursday, you've already eaten the bread, and you told yourself you'll restart on Monday. By Friday, you're in an airport at 6 in the morning, and the only options are a Cinnabon and a sad chicken wrap. By Sunday night, you're sitting there thinking the same thought you always think: I just need more discipline. And I'm gonna tell you something that might be the most useful thing you've heard about your fitness in years. That thought, I just need more discipline, is wrong, and it's costing you everything. Here's exactly what I want you to understand before anything else. You are not a man who lacks discipline. You run a company, you manage people, you make decisions under pressure that most men would fall apart under. You have built real things in your real life through real, sustained effort. Discipline is not your problem. The problem is that every program you've ever tried was built for someone else who does not exist. A man with unlimited time, no travel, no client dinners, no family obligations, no church commitments, no real life with real pressure and real circumstances that don't care about your macros. These programs were designed in a vacuum, and you were handed them like they were designed for you. They weren't. And when they failed, which they were always going to fail, you blamed yourself instead of the program. And that ends today. So let me show you exactly how it happened. Let's talk about keto first, because I hear about this one almost more than anything else. And here's the actual story of how keto goes for a man like you. Monday, you're in, groceries bought, meals prepped, you feel clear-headed, you're dropping the water weight, and the scale is moving. Then Wednesday happens. It's a client dinner, nice restaurant, the kind of place where you're there to close something important and you're not there to ask the waiter about the net carbs in the sauce. You eat the meal, it's not keto. You tell yourself it's fine, you'll be strict tomorrow. Thursday comes, you had the carbs last night, so you're out of ketosis anyway. Your brain starts negotiating, what's the point of being strict today if I already broke it? So have the bread at lunch. Friday, you're traveling. The airport is a dietary wasteland. The hotel breakfast is eggs and pastries. The conference dinner is pasta. By Sunday, you're back home feeling like you failed. And the conclusion you draw is, I just don't have enough discipline for keto. But that's not true. Keto failed you because it has a single point of failure. One meal outside the rules and the whole system collapses. A plan with a single point of failure is not a plan for a man with your life. It was never going to work. Not because of you, because of the design. The personal trainer is a different kind of failure. And honestly, it's the most frustrating one because you could see it working. You hired someone, you showed up, you put in the work in the gym. It was great. You were consistent. You were getting stronger. Something was happening. And then life picked back up. A big deal at work, 2 weeks of back-to-back travel, a season where you had to cancel 3 sessions in a row. You lost the momentum. You stopped going. And here's the problem that nobody talks about. Your trainer gave you a great gym program, but they never told you what to order at a client dinner. They never told you how to handle the open bar at a corporate event. They never gave you a protocol for the week you're in 4 different cities. They solved the gym problem and ignored the other 167 hours of your week. So the moment real life showed up, and it always does, you had no system to fall back on. The whole thing required the trainer in the room. Remove the trainer and the structure completely collapses. That's not a fitness plan. That's a dependency. Clean eating gave you anxiety at restaurants. Suddenly, every meal out was a minefield. Every work lunch was a negotiation between the plan and the reality on the menu. You started approaching food like it was the enemy, something to be managed and controlled and feared. And all or nothing thinking kicked in. One meal that wasn't clean became a bad day, and a bad day became a bad week, and a bad week became, I'll start again after the holidays. The problem with clean eating is that it made you morally evaluate your food. Good food, bad food, clean days, cheat days. And the moment you ate something bad, you'd already failed. So you might as well really fail. Fasting is the same story from a different angle. It works beautifully in theory until you have a 7 a.m. call, a 10 a.m. presentation, 12 p.m. lunch, 7 a.m. call, a 10 a.m. presentation, a 12 p.m. lunch that runs until 2, and by 3 p.m. you're staring at the conference room donuts with the focus of a man who had not eaten in 18 hours. You eat 6 of them, because of course you do. You're not weak, you're human. And the plan you were following forgot that. The discipline lie Here's the thing about discipline that nobody in the fitness industry will say to you. Discipline is not a fuel source. Every decision you make in a day draws from the same well. Every meeting, every difficult conversation, every high stakes call, that's discipline being spent. And by the time you get to the end of a 12-hour day and you're standing in front of the fridge, your discipline tank is empty. And these programs were all designed to be run on full discipline, maximum restriction, perfect consistency, zero margin for the moments when life gets hard. That is not a sustainable system. That is a recipe for the exact cycle you've been in. The men who succeed long-term don't succeed because they have more discipline than you. They succeed because they have better systems. Systems that run on something more reliable than willpower. Systems that account for the real week, not the perfect week. Systems that don't require you to be a monk to make progress. So let me tell you what actually works. First, identity before action. There are two kinds of men. The man who says, I'm trying to quit cigarettes, and the man who says, I don't smoke. Those are not the same man. One is fighting himself every single day. The other has already decided. The first shift that has to happen is identity. You are not a man who is trying to get fit. You are a fit Christian leader. That is who you are. And a fit Christian leader, what does he do? He makes decisions based on who he is, not how he feels in the moment. He doesn't white knuckle his way through dinner. He just orders like himself because that's who he is. When you step into that identity fully, not tentatively, the decisions get easier. Not because the discipline is stronger, but because the identity is clearer. Second, if you can't do it forever, we don't do it. This is the filter everything gets wrong through. Can you eat this way for the rest of your life? Can you train this way in 10 years? Does this system work when you're traveling? When you have a client dinner? When it's Christmas? If the answer is no, we don't build on it. Because sustainable beats optimal every single time for a man with your life. God gave us food to enjoy. A great meal with your family is not the enemy of your fitness. A glass of whiskey at a business dinner is not a moral failure, and a donut at your kid's birthday is not going to derail your progress. Food is not the enemy. The relationship with food is what needs to change. Third, less than you think, more than enough. Here's what the actual training looks like. 2 sessions a week, 45 minutes each. That's it. That's the minimum that moves the needle for a man in your position. Or 3 sessions, 30 minutes each. 90 minutes of training per week maximum. And here's the thing, you don't even have to do that because at the end of the day, your diet is what's actually going to cause the weight loss. If you want to build muscle and retain muscle, then yeah, I would suggest a gym, but you don't have to. So theoretically, you could lose weight on 0 minutes per week. And I know what you're thinking, that can't be enough. But it is, because the gym is not where the result lives. The result lives in what you do with the other 167 hours of the week. The gym is just the signal you send to your body, and that signal doesn't require hours to be heard. More is available if you want it, but more is never required. Fourth, habits over motivation. Motivation is a feeling, feelings change. Habits are the reps that you put in to build the identity. Every time you step on the scale in the morning, rep. Every time you choose the Coke Zero, rep. Every time you order the grilled instead of the fried, rep. Every time you pass on the mixer and have one clean drink instead, rep. None of these feel significant in the moment. All of them are telling you who you are. Stack enough of them and the identity stops being something you're building and starts being something you just are. That's when it becomes permanent. I want to tell you what the first sign usually is that something is different this time, and it's not the scale. It's that on a Thursday afternoon, after a long day, a client dinner the night before, not the perfect week, you realize you're still on the plan. Not because you white knuckled it, but because the plan had room for your life. And then a few weeks later, the pants are looser. Then your wife says something, maybe she doesn't say the word wait, she just says, you look good. Or she grabs your arm differently, or she notices the energy. And that moment, that quiet moment, is worth more than every dramatic before and after photo you've ever seen on Instagram, because it means it's real this time. Not a sprint, not a streak, a life. If you've been living in this cycle, trying, failing, blaming yourself, trying again, I want you to hear this one more time. You are not the problem. You never were. The problem was a system that was designed for a man who actually has a life. You have already proven you can build things, lead things, and sacrifice for things that matter. Your fitness is not some unique exception where your abilities mysteriously don't apply. You just need the right system built for your real life around your real schedule. And you need to decide, finally, that you are the kind of man who is fit. Not trying to be, is. Subscribe to this channel if this is hitting home for you. I put out content every week for men who are done explaining to themselves why this time will be different and are ready to actually make it different. And if you feel ready right now, DM me the word comeback and I'll help you build a system around your real life.